Hi, Gerhard Bloom here, looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So I'd like to look at the question of diversity, right? We've been told we need to make special allowances to increase diversity. Now, do you seriously think life is a petting zoo? No, life is not a petting zoo. I don't care about diversity. We shouldn't be promoting diversity, we should be promoting competence. Right? United Airlines recently announced that it is going to have set-asides to increase the number of women and people of color as pilots, right? Well, you can't prioritize diversity and competence. Pick one, right? Pick one. Now, let's look back at Sully Sullenberger. He was the captain of an airliner, passenger airliner, that landed on the Hudson, right? New York City. This was the miracle on the Hudson, right? Now, on an average day, an average pilot will do just fine, right? Perhaps one of these diversity hires, right? But Sully Sullenberger was no average pilot, and he confronted a very non-average day. Right? The public deserves the best pilots absolutely possible. The same is true for doctors, lawyers, and baristas, right? This diversity, it's diversity and inclusion, equity stuff. It's toxic, poisonous nonsense. It's dividing people up into racial categories and pitting them against one another, right? So no, we shouldn't be supporting diversity. It's not a goal worth pursuing. It is absolutely not. Now, people should not be excluded on the basis of race, color, creed, and what have you, right? In fact, in the United States, it's illegal, right? It's illegal. But Harvard, as I say, is once again excluding Asians, right? Although they don't cast it as that, right? This is all very noble, right? We're limiting the number of Asians because we have too many Asians and other groups are underrepresented. Well, they're not underrepresented, right? Groups don't show up at Harvard with their SAT scores and vie for entrance. Individuals show up, and individuals should be evaluated on the groceries they bring to that table. This is absolutely shameful. And this is not the first time that Harvard and other Ivy League schools engaged in this kind of bigoted nonsense, right? They once limited the number of Jews that they would allow. But no, this time it's different, right? This time it's for social justice and it's not racist. Well, it was racist then and it's racist now for precisely the same reasons, right? Judging people on the basis of their racial identities rather than the content of their character and the groceries that they bring to the particular table, right? Now, do you seriously think blacks can't compete without lowering admission standards, right? What does this message send to black students? Oh, that's okay. We'll let you in even though you don't qualify because you're oppressed and you're black. No. This sends precisely the wrong message. Black students want to get into Harvard. They need to work harder to get their marks up to be competitive. Same is true as whites, right? They're being outcompeted by Asians. The standard is the standard in whatever field. If you can't meet it, you either need to work harder or find a different field. But aren't the SAT scores racist, right? Culturally biased? Absolutely not, right? On the basis of lots of statistical analysis, that notion that the SAT scores are culturally biased is nonsense. But here's further proof, right? If the SAT scores, which predict academic achievement, were culturally biased, then black students who have low SAT scores relative to whites and Asians would score higher and then their SAT scores would suggest that they do, right? Here's a shocking fact. Black students with an SAT score perform lower. They underachieve relative to what their SAT scores suggest that they should be able to complete, right? They're underperforming. White students with the same SAT scores do better academically. Well, isn't this white privilege? No, because Asian students with the same scores as the white students and the Asians and the black students, I'll say that once again, sorry. Asian students with the same SAT scores as the whites and the blacks outperform both groups, which means the Asian students are working much harder, right? So no, the SATs aren't culturally biased. There's absolutely no reason to admit black students into Harvard whose grades don't merit it, right? And lowering the standards for what doctors and lawyers, engineers, and pilots, this is courting catastrophe, right? And black students admitted into Ivy League schools under these programs have a much higher dropout rate. So you're not doing these students any favors. They either drop out or worse, they move into one of these ridiculous grievance studies programs where they learn that they're racially oppressed and biased, and the academic standards there they're non-existent. These are make-believe subjects with absolutely no standard of intellectual rigor to them at all. It's poisonous nonsense. Now, they defy the most basic standards of scholarship. And they're just sites of ideological indoctrination. In every class, the affirmative action admits, excepting those in these Plato grievance studies courses, are the worst performing, right? And of course, it's demoralizing for them. They are competing against the country's brightest minds, right? And these black students aren't stupid. In fact, at a normal university, they would be outstanding students. But in the Ivy Leagues, they're competing against the brightest minds in the country. And they don't have the groceries necessary to compete. So they end up dropping out or going into one of these ridiculous grievance studies programs. And had they gone to a university more suitable to their academic abilities, they would do very well, right? And so they walk around these Ivy League universities with an absolute chip on their shoulders because they think everybody thinks they don't deserve to be there. Well, I think that. It's a reality, right? If they got in under diversity admission programs, they don't deserve to be there. And there are plenty of brilliant black students who've gotten through the Ivy League universities system on their own merits. And no, they shouldn't be looked at and suspected of getting admittance under this diversity program. So it does them no good either. They've earned their spots, right? So, to sum things up, this does nobody any favors at all. It is lowering standards and promoting diversity instead of promoting competence. This is absolutely outrageous. And students, and another thing that I forgot to mention, those black diversity students admitted into these Ivy League universities, do you think they picked them up from the inner city? These are poor inner city kids, never had a break. No. The vast majority of these diversity admits are from upper class black families, right? And plenty of Asian students who are not getting into Harvard and other Ivy League schools are from very poor families. This is absolutely toxic. At any rate, yes, for a more elaborated discussion of this and other important issues, please see my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon, not because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues are deeply important. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.